Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Say that again, it's breaking up. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Say that again, it's breaking up. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Say that again, it's breaking up. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Max, you want bone? Okay. Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, power, glory, yours now, forever. Thank you for your Son, our King, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. So I'm going to read you something, and I'm just going to skip to this because I can read the whole thing. Jesus said to him, Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Right? He asked Thomas to check out his wounds and everything. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed or will believe. Okay? So it's very important that you identify yourself as a Christian, that you accept Jesus as your King and Savior and your advocate. It's very important that these things that are done, as he says, these are into them that believe in Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. If the word of God did not have God's stamp approval, it would have fallen into obscurity long ago, but still rings with the power of God to accomplish its purpose, to lead its people to the life in Christ. In times like this, you not only have to count, but you have to identify it as like, I started driving, and my first car was a '68 Tempest, and it was the first year they had just lap belts, didn't have. But I've seen what being without a seatbelt would do, and this bench seat on and everything else, and just for actually staying in the seat and not hitting this metal dash, by the way, with my knees or anything else. I was wearing a belt. Now, also, I've been wearing belts because I was flying. By that point that I started driving, I was actually flying an aircraft and controlling aircraft as PIC for really almost 10 years. My father had me sitting in that seat from the time I was 5. But really, I was controlling everything by the time I was 7. And yes, wearing a seatbelt. So a seatbelt became to be very comfortable, very good, like a natural feeling to have it around my waist and later to have it around my chest and everything else. And that is how when you take Christ on and you get the Holy Spirit, that's how you feel. You're wrapped in that safety belt. That belt that tells you that no matter what, you know where you're going. You know what's going to happen. You learn how to die so that you can truly live with no fear, with respect, but not fear. Yes, they are making it so easy, Rick. That's why all this goes to my Odyssey page. I just need a oh yeah, cold nose. A cold nose. Great, come on. That's what he does. He's got the only cold thing in this room. In this heat, he still has a cold nose. That's got to tell you something right there. Okay? No, I don't know what. I know that it means that he's healthy. I got all that. Okay, and I understand that somehow he's evaporating water on that nose on a continuous basis to keep it clean, so he can um, use it to filter smells. Okay, I get all that too. Do I understand how he keeps it that cold? Because I'm telling you, it's cold. I mean, like 60 degrees cold, and it's like, I mean, if it's approaching 98 degrees in this room, right? Where, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, my CPU is reading my computer thing. The case, my case right now is 145, 147 degrees. I mean, this thing is so hot. You could probably start to cook on it. But the other thing is that you walk all the time. Like I remember I couldn't even get out of my car and move it in the driveway without buckling that stupid belt. It just felt so unnatural to me. And that's just the way it was. And it's been that way forever. Okay. There's other friends of mine, they couldn't be even today, they couldn't be bothered to disconnect it, whatever. It's gonna get me killed. Well, I'm here to tell you the three accidents I've had, it saved my life. Okay. And this will save your internal soul because being a brother and sister with our King Jesus, that's going to get you into some place that is incredible. And I have no idea what resides after that as far as the adventure, but I'm sure it's going to be spectacular. Um, yes, yeah. And the thing is, when it's so hot like this, it's radiating heat. I don't even I don't. I mean, what comes to mind on days like today is like a cold tuna fish sandwich, but I didn't even want that because the tuna would be bad. I mean, I had my generator running this morning for about 2 hours. It's just running every month it runs like make sure it's running and everything else because the power has been browning out and weaking out on yeah. Like I said, I have a transformer outside my house. It's got to be 70 years old. Literally, it's so old that the paint has worn off of it, and the primer has worn off, and now it's one part of the whole thing is covered in rust. I mean, uh, yeah. Well, this whole thing is being redone. We are in that process where this is no longer going to be my wife's office. This is just going to be what it was before, and upstairs And we're gonna move. This whole thing is gonna be moved upstairs. So yeah, but yep. So today, with everything that's going on, you can see the Book of Revelations and what John saw is totally. He couldn't just remember. He was using the vocabulary of man 2,000 years ago, describing it. That's the problem. That's why I looked. Whenever you read it, you were like, "Was this guy on a mushroom trip dream or something?" I remember when I was reading when I was a kid, I was like, "Wow, this is." Yeah. Now, who could ever believe it? I mean, holy conk! I mean, wow! I mean, women getting on TV and we're talking women in their early 20s, and they're proud and happy that they've been sterilized. I I I I I have no words. I was talking about that last show. I I I mean, you think about that. Think about the last, oh, just 400,000 years. The last 400,000 years, and all the people lived and died to make that person's life possible. The sacrifices that they had to go through to be in the genome, to those genes, to be there sitting there, and then that's the choice that they make to literally terminate any children from being all those eggs and those lives gone, poof, piff. Wow. If that's not satanic, I don't know what is. Uh, you know what I used to eat when I was in college on days like today? It was this hot. I used to eat cold Chinese fried rice, with the egg in it, and the meat, and so right out of the fridge, cold, and a glass of milk. Um, there have always been droughts in the western states. If you look at the history, like I said, the history it's in the Grand Canyon, the Great Salt Lake, not the Great Salt Lake because the Great Salt Lake is because it's been evaporating, and that's what you get. It's been evaporating a long time. Um, and the desert has been the desert out there for a long time and everything else. Now, I'll tell you something what would happen if they managed to water properly, which means after the Hoover Dam and Power Dam and everything else was built to where they created those reserves, and during the heavy rain years, they were not letting that like the Oroville Dam and everything else flow. They were kept that pace of creating to where they captured all that water. Um, and they managed it properly, they would still have plenty of water today. But unfortunately, that's not what they did. Okay, there was not thinking. There was a lot of greed and a lot of like, oh, we spend all this money on this study for this thing. I mean, by now, all human consumption, water, drinking, everything should have been from desalination plants, all powered by lifters. I mean, you could power the entire world with just 5,000 tons of thorium from monocyte mines. And what we have over half a million tons of it is sitting in Nevada right now. Uh, and it all could have been up and running. Oh, there would have been 40, 50,000 units in this country alone. I mean, by now you're talking literally this research was done in 1973 and kind of almost semi perfected. They would have perfected it by 84, 85. You would have seen it implemented by the 90s, would have been all over the place. Because you see, unlike the nuclear reactors today, we have to build them on site, you could build these in a factory. And that's what Trump did with Flibe Energy. They said it was all canceled. All the department and the Supreme Court ruled that what the Department of Energy was doing and these other agencies were doing, the so-called green agenda, was unconstitutional. That they could no longer do it. Now you have millions and millions of acres of farmland that are being owned by the Chinese, and if they're not owned by the Chinese, they're being purchased and owned by Bill Gates. And these people do not have your best interest involved. First of all, it should not be allowed for any foreign person or country to own land in the United States. Period. No. Can they own it? No. And they can't own consecutively for more than 5 years. Not if you're not a United States citizen. Can't do it. So that's number one. Number two, um, this person who owns all this property, there has to be a Department of Agriculture and other things that are looking into this that are saying, okay, why are you doing this? And over a certain amount of acreage, it must be publicly disclosed why and what are you doing with the land. If you want to set it up as a park and give it away like other philanthropists have done, especially here in the island, basically the only watershed lands are lands that literally farmers took and they made watersheds out of them and they donated them to the town. Because other than that, developers were buying them up right and left and building on them. So if you didn't have people like um, Robin Moses, stuff like this, you wouldn't have what we have: Joe's Beach, Fire Island, Parkways, all that kind of stuff. He has vision. If you didn't have a president like Teddy Roosevelt, you would not have the nature preserves and all the parks that we have in this country throughout. That's important. But the advancement of technology to which that on an efficiency basis, it's everything. So being able to create energy and make energy as it's everything. It's harvesting. It's everything. All I can say to this person that sent me this text is adopt. If you're in a place, there's many, many children out there that could be adopted. They're too old for regular adoption because nobody wants, they don't want babies. They don't want 8, 10, 12, 11, 13. Jim Foreman writes, San Andreas. Look it up. Believe it or not, it's owned by Colombia, but it's in the Caribbean. He's been come back between that and places in Costa Rica and Panama. That's the last I heard he was at. That information is about 6 weeks old, though, because the information I had before that was 6 weeks old. Anyway, so the answer to Rick's question is, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll tell you, there was a movement in World War II where everybody was taking their lawns and converting them into what's known as called victory gardens, because the same thing happened then. People they weren't able to get anything. So what happened? But you also had 60 to 70% of the population were living in farms and other types of agriculture. So there was that kind of experience. Today, you don't have this. Because of fossil fuels and other petrochemicals, you have farms that are 100 times more productive out of an acre. And that will disappear if you don't have a substitute to either creating this fertilizer or, you know, what I say now is because the technology exploit, I mean, just under Texas alone, just Texas, there's 12 billion more barrels of oil. In Pennsylvania, there is an insane amount of natural gas. Okay, an insane amount of natural gas. Um, these can be exploited to which that the next 7 to 10 years, and faster, probably within, oh, I don't know, 10 months, we could be energy independent again. But as logistics shows, with the new technology becoming online, which we don't have yet, we only have the lifter part of it. We don't have room temperature superconductivity yet. Okay? That has to be perfected. Then you can, I mean, as far as the lifting technology, you really need to start building that now and deploying it, no matter what, because in order to migrate to a new type of energy source, this and being electric, you have to have that in place. You're going to have to add minimally within 18 months 70% more power to the grid, and way more. You're going to have to double it in another 3 years. So it has to be at 1/130th of the cost it is today, and it has to be in 10 years 1,000 times more than what you have. So it has to be clean and cheap. I want it clean too. I don't want it to pollute. I mean, with diesel, with anything, you're polluting the air, you're polluting the water. There's no question. I don't want that. I want what did I do to my van? I made new injectors that were huge injectors. I got a bigger turbo. I did everything to get more efficient. Okay. And now I'm getting this brand new. The torque converter is taking a long time because I come from Milwaukee and everything's down and shipping and everything. It's a big pain in the butt. So I'm kind of in van withdrawals because I haven't seen my van in a month and a half. But it's what it is. Um, but when it's done, I'm going to have the torque converter alone is three Kevlar clutches with a up and pressure thing, and it's going to increase my torque, increase my power efficiency. It's just incredible. So yeah, it's going to be that much more efficient, that much more durable, everything. And I've done that kind of incremental change to to where it's a better vehicle now. Even before I did that, it was a better vehicle than when I bought it brand new. Now, after I do this change, you won't be able to find a vehicle like that. Period. They don't make it. They don't have it. They don't have something with the gross weight that it'll be able to do. Nothing. And with the amount of miles I can put on with the fuel. They won't, I'll be getting 14 and a half, 15 miles per gallon towing, gross vehicle weight, everything, 25,000 pounds, and of anything like that. So, um, humidity, basically everybody getting it. So you got what's known as called herd immunity. So basically, the virus could not reside in anybody. The idea is that what viruses thrive on is infecting somebody, replicating, using that person, that host to replicate, and then infecting other people. But they can only do that so much. You either kill the person, that doesn't help the virus, or everybody gets immune to it. That doesn't help the virus either. That's what causes viruses to mutate, but they can only mutate so much. I'm not a doctor, but I did take AP Bio. I remember that. I remember um, uh, doc explaining that, and he was doing it through these. Pretty funny. To get his doctorate, he was showing me these paper, and his paper was on creating viruses that were actually lethal to cancer cells, but not to regular good cells. And he was doing this only, gosh, he was doing this back in '77, and I just perfected that now, having fantastic, um, incredible breakthroughs in this. Um, no, it actually the way it was explained to me. There are certain proteins that a cancer cell needs to be a cancer cell and to work, and the virus was essentially surviving off to dismantling those proteins. That this whole virus was all about eating those proteins. That's and this was not made; it was theorized back then. Now we've had the technology they didn't have the technology to do it then. He was theorizing. So I don't know whatever happened to him. He was brilliant, brilliant professor that I had. Um, I had the Omicron, whatever. You know, I mean, I know I've been exposed to others. I haven't gotten it. And I didn't get any booster. I only got the two vaccines. That's it. I didn't get the boosters or anything like that. And I've already gone to why I had to get that. I had no choice in the matter. I had my son. Um, it did get Biden, Fauci. I mean, they've had everything. It can't stop nanometer virus. Ridiculous. Yeah, and everything they say. If you get the booster, you will get. Yeah, and they got it. Right, and so is it really stopping him from being in the hospital, or the antiviral drug that he's on stopping him from being in the hospital? Hmm. He's taking a drug right now that actually prevents the virus from replicating, but it really only good for the beginning. And not everybody had access to it because his administration did not provide access to it. 6 months ago, if I wanted it, couldn't get it. So everything he's saying, his administration is saying today, it's a lie. So I think that it's not a coincidence with everything that's going on. You're going to see the 20. Trump said that a long time ago. He says, hey, Joe, you better think about that 25th Amendment. Okay. Well, again, what wasn't discussed? It wasn't discussed that China was the creator of this. It wasn't discussed that it was formulated and developed in a lab. There's now proof of this. That's why I'm allowed to say this. It wasn't discussed that it leaked from this lab and that it was covered up. It wasn't discussed that the NIH helped fund this lab. It wasn't discussed that Fauci helped, knowing this, cover it up, not speak truthfully about it. And under oath. What I don't understand is how all these people can do this, and yet there's still people that are in solitary confinement for a year and a half. Just say, you know what I'm talking about. Yep, it's a hundred. They're having incidences of literally. It's basically for every 500,000 people, they're having 1,000 incidences, and none of which are implemented to do anything about it because that's been wavered. So that's interesting, right? And it only took me time to go through the papers. Where were the? I was looking at a lot of these papers, 75,000 pages of them, medical records and everything else, which were put out years ago. Years, years. How could it be put out years? I'm saying to myself, this is before this whole thing. This is someone's. Mm. So, how did they know this? And oh, what allowed all those places to be set up? The 2000 Michael Utah Lima Echo Sierras. Oh, wasn't it the Charlie Oscar Victor Indiana Delta 19? Yes, it did. That's so strange. But I mean, wow. Biden got 15, 17 million more votes. Wow. Well, look at that. Got my first breakup. As soon as I said that, isn't that a coincidence? Unbelievable. Just touting the glories of President Biden because he just ran an unbelievable campaign. I mean, really not having to show too many appearances and just winning such a landslide election. Amazing. Unbelievable. Incredible. Has anything changed? Who do you blame this on? You ready? I'm going to blame. You ready? You're not going to like it. Trump. What? That's right. It's Trump's. We have to be honest. We have to be honest. We have to be honest. Were there shenanigans Hillary was complaining about in the 2016 elections? Oh, there were, according to Hillary. Where there were the same shenanigans in the 2018 elections. Oh, there were. We were told by his administration that the shenanigans in the 2016 election was going to be rectified. On an Oprah Winfrey show in 2005, he said how to correct the problem. So it's not like he didn't know. He knew. What changed from 2018 to nothing changed? The pandemic changed, which was going to make it worse. And then other things were happening too, right? Two impeachments, which are proven were done the wrong way on false information. That eventually came out. Sure. What eventually is coming out, which was said before the election, oh, this was all Russian propaganda. What? You can't ignore it. These are the facts. To ignore them, you make the same mistake and error. So, what I want to first know is what is going to rectify so that I know that when I go to these elections coming up in November, that my vote is going to count. Now, I'm not, Jim, I'm not saying, I'm saying facts. I'm not saying, I'm saying the truth. Do that mean, was he being attacked constantly? Constantly. Did I say I could do better? Nope. I didn't say that. But I did tell you that he identified the problems twice and they were not rectified. Do we all agree here that the 2020 elections, the problems that happened in 2016 and 2018 were not only not rectified but were amplified? We agree on that. Because we agree that if you don't agree with that, then you're agreeing Biden is more popular, much more popular than Obama ever was. That's what you're agreeing. It also didn't translate in down ballot. So what's with that? Yeah. What that is also is that the system needs to change. Am I going to vote this November? Absolutely, just like I did last time. Am I going to go there that day? Yes, I'm going to go there that day. Am I going to vote for my Lee Zeldin? Yes, I'm going to do it. I hope, but I don't leave a lost supply. Okay, because every undocumented person that's been shipped to this state has gotten a check for $15,000. They got a phone and they got a driver's license. They didn't have to have a social security card. They were flown here or could travel freely without any identification except for the restaurant. Then with that restaurant, they were able to get and can't 1,000 testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1. Looks like I'm going to be ending the show soon. I'll read this. Therefore, we do not lose heart, even though our outward man is perishing, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day. So, at least in this state, this is what's going on. Okay. Now, these people have been told that they are to follow the rules. Um, but what have they been held to? I can tell you from my wife's caseload, they have not gone out and gotten car insurance. They have not done any of these things. They do not follow the rules that you and I, because it hasn't behooved them to do so. Every single advantage being not the rules. Their education paid for. Their college level children have their college paid for. Do I blame these people? I do not blame these people. They come from an area of the world of tyranny. They want freedom. But by doing so and exploiting that, the leaders are doing the same tyranny. If you want to know how socialism ends, it's very simple. You end up eating your pets. I'm not going to eat my pet. At least in the state of New York, I would concur with that assessment. I do not believe, that's just my opinion. And I know that there's other states like that. And I do know that these people have been traveling, and I've been seeing what I've seen. I've seen them at the truck stops. And they are extremely, they don't care. I've never seen so much litter, spent diapers, other types of stuff at these truck stops. Own the proper thing. They don't care. They don't care. They feel entitled. They feel that they're special. They don't have to follow the rules. They cut it in front of you. If you're online, they they and I saw that in the hospital when I had my kidney stones again recently. I was put out in the hallway. I was told to urinate out in the hallway. While they got in front of doctors and made their lives so horrible, they were put into a. This is what's really happening. So you're setting up and I could tell you right now, how do you have a bad dog behavior? Very, very simple. The bad dog behaviors, any bad dogs out there, that's caused by their owners. Guarantee it. If I go to that household, I can immediately see that's caused by their owners. I've seen children, same thing in school, caused by their parents. I went through years with my boys, years. They hated my guts. And I can't tell you how many times Brian's parents let him do Brian, can't tell you how many times I heard that. I told my sons, I said, I don't care. I'm not here to win a popularity contest. I'm here to take you guys as boys and make you men. And in order for me to do that, I have to learn and I have to use the word and it has to mean something. And what is the word? No. The word is no. That's what the word is. Yes, I know this. This is what I'm saying. So if you want to be a good dog owner, if you want to be a good parent, I'll tell you right now, if you want to be a good parent, get a dog. Because a dog will teach you. A dog is just like a kid. A dog will get away with anything you think they can get away with, they'll get away with it. If you leave a donut, if I left a donut on a table right now, do you think my dog would eat it? He wouldn't eat it. Do you think when he was 4 months old he'd eat it? Sure. And he would still, if I go to other people's houses, if I left food on the table, whatever, I see their dogs are wild. They'll jump all over the thing. They jump all over the front. They do everything because their owners let them. These dogs know they're not supposed to touch that food. They know they're not supposed to do this. They test you, and if you don't stop them from doing it, they're like, "Oh, I guess you didn't. I guess you know what? I guess it's a freebie." I know owners that still clean up their house after their dogs. Destroyed furniture, destroyed this, nation, name it. My dog was left here for a day and a half when I had emergency stuff at the hospital. You know what that dog did? He went into the bathtub in the bathroom and he did his business in there. He did it in the least possible place that he could do it. He did it in there because he didn't want to disappoint me. I can't believe how smart that dog was to do that. I had another dog I owned. His name was Duke. He did that too. We all rebuke it. We all fight it every single day, Terry. That's what our job is. However, missions is to, but also to bring others to the Lord's love. Because we need to show everybody His love. And I'm gonna have to terminate this because I can see the of this transition. I want you guys to have a great weekend. I want you to be safe. It's going to get hotter. Okay. It's going to get hotter because the CME is going to be hitting us here in about 45 minutes. All right. And you're going to see it. Now, it's not going to be all night. It's going to be a warm, hot summer. But in the long run, 10, 15 years, we're headed into another ice age because the sun is going to be going asleep, and also it's this is a cycle we're in. We're in a cycle. So what happens. Anyway, I want you guys to be blessed. I want you to have a good barbecue. I'm going to be posting on my other channel some recipes and some videos. If you're not subscribed to it, it's Bull Omni 2. And going to be doing the Bull patented jam. You really like that. That's it's very simple. It does require you to get Bull stuff. Um, Bull fresh tech canning. You could do a water bath canning of it, and a Bull jam maker. You could do it in a pot and everything else. But I love easy. My grandsons love our jam. They love our stuff. This is where you literally pick up a bag of frozen fruit at Costco and you just pour it into the thing with ball um, uh, packed in ahead of time. And you set up this computer and it does the whole thing. You add the sugar when it tells you to add it, and it does the whole thing and it's ready for canning. And the canner sterilizes the jars and sets it all up for canning. It's great. And no, they don't make it anymore. So it's not like I'm endorsing a specific product. They don't make it. I had to get my extra ones on eBay. Anyway, God bless. Be good and watch out for each other.